Let's talk about all of the books that I have read in the month of November. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Trishita Reads. I am Trishita and in today's video, I will be talking about all of the books that I finished reading in the month of November. November was amazing in terms of reading because I finished 15 books and today is 27th of November and I am currently in the middle of An Ember in the Ashes series and I have a lot to say about that book, but that will be a separate video. You know the drill. I will be talking about the books that I did not like reading in the month of November first, and then I will slowly and gradually move to the books that I really loved reading, and we have two 5-star books in this month. So grab a piece of pen and paper, write down the recommendations, and let's start with the video. I am starting the video with a book that I was very excited to read, but unfortunately I was not able to finish it, and the book I'm talking about is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. I DNF'd this book. I first of all did not know that I need to finish reading Folk of the Air series before starting this book, but I did not like the first book, that is The Cruel Prince in Folk of the Air series. So I was not planning to read that series, and that is the reason why when I started reading this book, I could not figure out anything in this story. Not only I hated the fact that I was not understanding anything, but later on I realized that okay, the characters also lack personalities and I don't know what they were doing throughout the whole book. Things were just happening, you know, the segments were there, they were on a venture, they were on a journey, but I was like, why is this happening in the very first place? What happened between this segment and this segment? So I do feel like the narration was very poorly done, and also the flow of this book is zero. This is the first book in my reading experience whose flow of writing is so bad that I got frustrated after reading 1 to 2 pages and I was like, why? Unfortunately, I am not interested to read about small segments of the characters and to read about a forced romance. I mean, the romance was forced by the author just to add some spice in the book, and I was like, bro, I'm not understanding the plot. What will I do with the romance? Still, I gave this book a good chance. I read 200 something pages. I had only 100 something pages left and I was like, no, Trishita, don't do this to yourself. Life is too short to read books that are disappointing you. Just move on, DNF it, and hence I did DNF this book. My experience of reading this book was so bad. I unfortunately have the sequel of this book, The Prisoner's Throne, with me as well. So I will just unhaul them because I do not see myself in my far future as well to read this atrocity. Thank you so much. Let's move on to the next book. The next book is also a surprise because I never thought that I will be giving this book such a low rating. And I am talking about Daydream by Hannah Grace. This book is the third part in the Maple Hill series. The first one is The Icebreaker and the second one is Wildfire. It is also a new release and I ended up giving this book 2 stars. You know guys, if you have been watching my videos for some time now, which I really appreciate, please go watch my old videos. Then you know that I was raving about how I am excited to read about Daydream, how Henry's character was my favorite from the very beginning, I mean after reading Icebreaker, and how I was very excited to read his love story, and oh my god, this book was so naive and I did not even expect that Henry's character will be portrayed with such immaturity. I'm very sad. This book promised to be a captivating tale of friendship, love, academic challenges and personal growth, and all of these traits are portrayed by Hela, who is the main female character. And with respect to Henry, I only see academic struggle and love. That too is questionable because this is the only book that does not have any epilogue, by the way. And both of the previous books had an epilogue and they had happy endings. And this book also ends happily. But this book does not have an epilogue of the future. So I will assume that Henry and Ella are not going to end up together in the future. They are not going to stay in a relationship in the future. And I know why. I know why Henry is such a commitment phobic person. He does not care what you are thinking, what you are doing. If he wants space, he will just jump you and he'll go. A hiatus, and his partner needs to realize that, oh, he needs space, he's not going to communicate with me for foreseeable future. I don't know when he's going to communicate with me, and personally I don't see myself or any friends of mine to be in a relationship with a guy who has traits like this. Plus, Hela and Henry do all of the things that people do when they are in relationships. I'm not talking about intimacy, I'm talking about going out on dates, being possessive about each other, being jealous of other people as well who are trying to contact Henry and Hela. And when it comes to giving commitment, Henry is like, oh, I don't want to give any commitment because I don't know about myself, because I don't know what I'm gonna do in future. And Hela is like, okay, okay, no worries, we will adjust. You are right. I don't know what we will be in future, where we will be in future. So let's not give any kind of commitments, but be in a relationship without any commitments. I don't get it, guys. Really, I don't get it. I completely understand Hela's reaction in this book. One of her main problems that she is dealing with is her being a people pleaser. She cannot say no to people. And after going through a very brutal breakup, she grabs for sympathy coming from the first person out there, and that is Henry. Just think, have an open mind, get out of the novel and think. Henry was an opportunist. He used Hela and he said that he wants help in academics. And Hela was the one who was helping him, because if Henry does not excel in his academics, he will be removed as a captain in the hockey team. And he just uses Hela because of it. When it comes to having intimate moments, when it comes to having, all of the things that people do in relationships, Henry was like, yes, let's do it. But when it comes to him calling Hela his girlfriend, all of the situations, all of the problems came. Really loved reading Icebreaker. I really loved reading Wildfire. Those two books talk about what actual problems in people's lives are, insecurities that you can have, toxic friendships that you can have, toxic childhood, toxic parents. Not only that, I really loved those two books because communication was the main key for those two couples. And I don't know what happened in this book, but I feel like Hannah Grace did a blunder. I loved reading about Hela. People who are people pleasers or people who cannot say no to people very easily can really relate to her. So I could relate to her a lot, and that is the reason why it became a little bit bearable to read this book. But unfortunately, Henry was such a turn down in this one. Absolutely not. No, thank you so much. I really want to read books that have mature relationships, and I was hopeful because Hannah Grace was delivering that from the past two books. Let's move on to the next one, because if not, I'll keep on ranting about this book and it's gonna be a very long video. Next up, we have another disappointment which I did not expect at all, and the book's name is Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. I have given this book 3 stars, one of the worst Japanese translated fictions I have read. This book is about Kiko, who works in a convenience store for a very long time, and because of that, her family, that is her mother and her sister, are very concerned about her because in Japan, working in convenience stores is considered a part-time job, but Kiko takes it as a full-time job. She is very dedicated, and that is the only thing that I really liked about this book. People generally judge others on the basis of their pay slip or on the basis of what designation they work in or what profession they choose to work in, but in this book, we realize that it can be a small job for others, but if it is fitting you, if you are happy in that job, then give your heart and soul to that job and you will be content, you will be happy in your own eyes. And let's just not give a damn about what other people think about what you are doing professionally. And I really loved how Kiko was so dedicated in her work, and she was so good in her work that all of the people in the convenience store were completely dependent on her, and it was so nice to see her professionally blooming in this book. But apart from that, I really felt that Kiko was very weird because the things that she was thinking was not normal. She definitely needs to go to a therapist ASAP, but she is not doing that, and she is taking some very questionable decisions that she is thinking are normal. Girl, you need help. Girl, you need help. You need to go to a therapist. You need to consult with your family that, okay, these are things that I'm gonna do, and her family needs to put some sense in her, because I was pretty concerned about her at the end of this book. And another thing that I did not like in this book was how abruptly the book ends. There are books that have cliffhangers, or there are books that have happy endings, or there are books that have loose ends, but this one ended so abruptly, and I was like, oh, that's the end? That's the end? I mean, what? After finishing this book, I was like, why you just sat and wrote a book that has no freaking meaning in the very first place? I have read Murakami. I have read other books as well by Japanese authors that are very warm and cozy. For example, I have read More Days at Morisaki Bookshop this month only. But this was not the way you write about weird feelings. You do not write about disturbing feelings like this. At least the author could have given the readers the time to absorb what is happening and why Kiko is doing these things. After finishing this book, I only have questions. I do not have any answers to anything, because to get answers to any book, I need to also get something out of the book as well, right? It's like you are reading a story in a journal or a newspaper, and suddenly the news agency decides to discontinue the story. This book feels just the same. I do not recommend this book at all, but if you want to read it, Definitely go read it. You might like it. I did not. Reading is all about perspectives. And with that note, let's move on to the next book. Now, coming to the next book, we have a very chunky novel. And guys, I did not expect that I will be finishing this book in this month only. But on the very beginning, because of a challenge, I finished this book, and I'm so glad because I did not like this book that much. And the book that I'm talking about is The House of Earth and Blood, the first book in the Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. I have given this book 3 stars. After reading A Court of Mist and Fury, my expectation from Sarah J. Maas has increased a lot. I don't know whether it is for good or whether it is for bad. And in the challenge video where I read this book, I remember that I was reading comments by you guys and you were saying that, oh, I really loved reading this book. This book has a lot to give, and even the series gets better with time. But I don't know why this happened, but I did not end up liking this book because a lot was happening in this one. At some point I was like, okay, give me some break. Let my mind rest for a little bit. And I also feel like this is coming from the fact that I finished this book in such a short span of time. If I had read this book in small portions throughout a long period of time, I do feel like I would have enjoyed this book. So my rating is kind of biased with respect to my personal experiences with the duration in which I read this book and with my experience with the author's previous novels. Apart from that, if I talk about the plot of this book, it was really, really good. If I talk about Hunt as a character, if I talk about Bryce's brother's character and the other side characters as well, they were also really good. I did not like Bryce that much. It felt like Bryce was being a brat and people were just accepting that behavior just because she is Bryce. And keeping in consideration of Bryce's background, how she has struggled to fit in the society she lives in, how she has been supported by her best friend Danica and her mother and the people around her, she needs to be more grateful, I feel. But I did not see that in this book, and that is the reason why my liking of this book also reduced, because in Sarah J. Maas's novels, I do look up to the female lead characters. If you have not read A Court of Thorns and Roses series, and if you want to start with Sarah J. Maas's work, then you can start with this one. The thickness might seem a little bit intimidating, but go for the dramatized audiobook version and listen to the audiobook when you are reading this book. That will enhance your experience. Hope that tip helps you, and let's move on to the next one. The next book that I read was an okayish experience for me, and the book I'm talking about is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. And shout out to the author. He is such sweet person. You do not get replies of stories from famous authors or authors who are already established and they have sold millions and millions of copies of their books. But she replied to my story and she was like, have a really nice time when you're reading this book. And I was like, wow, that's a very sweet gesture. Do not get that from authors nowadays because they get a lot of DM requests, they get a lot of traction in their social media platforms, and I was so happy that she got some time out and replied to my DM. So I'm really thankful. I'm really grateful that I stumbled upon such really good personalities. But unfortunately, I did not like this book. I have given this book 3 stars. The concept of this book was really interesting because we do not get to see female security people or female bodyguards in books. Generally, we see male bodyguards who are handsome and tall and they have such personalities, and it was very refreshing to see a female bodyguard who is so good at her job that her whole life revolves around this job, and she gets a client who is a Hollywood celebrity. He is a well-established actor, and obviously he is a very good looking guy. So the dynamics between the 2 characters were really nice. I did not enjoy this book to the fullest. I really wanted to see their relationship dynamics. After their relationship came out on the internet and people started to know about this, I really wanted to see that struggle, you can say, because being an actor's partner is very difficult, and I really was looking forward to that dynamics. Throughout the whole book, Hannah was very insecure about herself, which is, I guess, okay, justifiable, because she was having feelings for an actor. It is justifiable that a normal person will think that, okay, they might not be good enough for this beautiful looking person. But I did not see that much of an effort from Jack's side. It was like I was being told that, okay, Jack did this for her, and I was not being shown that act or gesture in this book, and that kind of affected my reading experience. I did see Hannah forming her feelings for Jack, but I did not see Jack forming feelings for Hannah. I would have really loved to see the process of how Jack is falling for her, because it is very easy for an actor to be surrounded by people who are already very good looking. So if you are falling in love with a normal person, you will be falling in love because the person has those traits that you are really looking for. I mean, characteristic traits, and looks will also come into consideration, but those things won't be that big of an human factor. I really wanted to see how Jack was feeling, but it was not there, unfortunately, and that is the reason why my experience with this book was okay-ish. One very good thing about this book is this book does not have any spice. Now coming to a book that I finished literally this week, 2 days ago, and the book I'm talking about is Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller, and I have rated this book 3 stars. I have rated this book lower because I really loved reading The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller, and if you have not read that book, then please go and read it. It is a very good book, and I know that you will end up loving that book. This book felt a little short when I compare it with The Shadows Between Us. Do not get me wrong, this book is a really good middle grade fantasy plus adventure story where the main female character is the daughter of the Pirate King, and she stages her kidnapping, and she gets kidnapped by her enemies, and they are also pirates. They take her captive because her father wants her to retrieve a part of a map that will lead the Pirate King to the hidden lands of the Sirens, and that land is filled with all of the forbidden and forgotten treasures. So her mission is to basically go to the enemy's ship, retrieve the map, and give it to her father. But there is only one issue, and that is Raiden, who is the enemy captain's brother. Sounds very interesting, sounds pretty cool, and I also loved reading this book, but just because it fell a little bit short when I compare it with her previous work, hence I have given this book a lower rating. If you want to read a good middle grade adventure book that gives you the feeling of Philip Pullman, then definitely you can check Tricia Levenseller's work. You will really love it. To me, The Shadows Between Us will be her best work till now. The next book that I read is a sequel to a book that I highly anticipated because the previous book ended in a cliffhanger, and I got this book pretty late because the publishers were kind enough to send the book, but the package got lost in the process, and that is the reason why I got the package after almost 1.5 months. And the book that I'm talking about is Apprentice to the Villain. I have given this book 3.5 stars. Actually, I did like this book better than Assistant to the Villain, and here's the reason why. I really loved how Evie Sage's character did a 180-degree change, and I was not expecting that. Let me tell you a little bit of an embarrassing moment in the video where I was reading this book and where I was sharing my experience when I was reading this book. I said that Evie's character changes 360 degree, and someone commented that if you're saying that she changed 360 degree, then she is gonna be the same, right? So it's gonna be either 90 degrees or it is gonna be 180 degrees. So she changed to 180 degrees. I am really sorry. Her complete persona changed in this one. She was very confident. She was brutal when needed. She was soft when needed. She was basically the actual apprentice of a villain. I was feeling so proud. I don't know why. It felt like my own sister is having a good personality makeover, and I really loved reading about it. However, this book does feel like a filler novel. The plot does not progress that much. After reading the first book, I had a few questions left, which are also there after reading this book as well, which is this long, around 350 something pages. The banter between two characters was good, but after some point of time it was becoming repetitive. I was looking for something more. The villain's character unfortunately was hot and cold and hot and cold and hot and cold and hot and cold throughout the whole book, and I was like, bro, Evie, how are you dealing with this person? I could never, I could never ever do this. I hope that the next book is the end of this story, because if it is not, then the author definitely will be stretching the book that I don't want. I don't want the stories to be stretched that much where it becomes very repetitive. I don't want to see the banters between two characters for 2 freaking books. I will only recommend this book to you guys if you have read Assistant to the Villain and loved it. Then definitely go for Apprentice to the Villain. Now that I am done with all of the books that I felt were a little bit we are starting with the books that I really loved reading in this month, and there are so many good books. I'm so happy because this month was so good in terms of reading, because look at the good stack of books that I really loved. Like, wow, okay, there are so many books. Grab a piece of pen and paper and start writing the recommendations, because not only me, you also need to read these books, okay? Need to read these books. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is the one that I finished reading yesterday. All of the memories are fresh, and the book I'm talking about is Love in the Times of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. This book is about Phoebe. She is a research scholar, and she, after her father's demise, shifts to Florida for a few months because her and her brother want to sort out the apartment in which their father used to live. They will basically sell the apartment, and that's how she gets in a situation where she is standing in front of her father's apartment middle of the night with a furniture that is so heavy that she cannot move, and there enters Sam, who is her next door neighbor, and she ends up thinking that he is a serial killer. Phoebe is writing her dissertation on the topic of serial killers and how the writers who write the memoirs of these serial killers are somehow making it more dramatized, and is it really good for the readers out there, because those are true crimes, and that is the reason why she consumes a lot of crime podcasts, she reads a lot of true crime novels, and she watches a lot of true crime documentaries, and that has affected her mindset as well. She is suspicious of every single thing, and when she sees a random person standing barefoot in front of her offering help, she immediately jumps into the conclusion that okay, this is a serial killer. But as the story progresses, we see that Sam is such a sweet person, and Sam is such a mature person as well. Like, whoa. On the other hand, Phoebe is also dealing with a lot of things from childhood. She has seen broken marriage, and that has kind of affected her. She is very insecure as a person, you can say, and she also feels that she is incapable of loving anyone because she thinks that she is a very selfish person. But all of these things changed after I finished reading this book, and it was such a delight to read about a good, mature and beautiful relationship that formed between Sam and Phoebe. And along with that, there was also another relationship of Phoebe's brother that was going on in this book. That was also something that I really liked. There are very few books that showcase realistic modern relationships, and this is one such book. I really loved how both Phoebe and Sam confronted each other. They understood each other. I do understand that not only me, everybody who reads novels, I mean most of the people who read fiction, they read books because they want to escape from reality. But I also feel that sometimes when we get representation of reality, representation of how modern day real relationships work, it is definitely very refreshing to read. So thank you so much, Alicia Thompson, for writing this novel, because I really needed it after I read Daydream. And I definitely recommend you guys to read this one. Next up, we have a good Asian translated fiction, and the book's name is I Want to Die But I Want to Eat the Cookie. This book is a memoir of the writer having a conversation with her therapist. This book is divided in chapters where in the first segment you get the writer conversing with her therapist, and the chapter ends with a lesson that the writer has learned from the conversation. Oh my god, the writer talks about so many raw emotions that people generally find in themselves, but they are too scared to admit. And when I was reading this book, it was disturbing because it is difficult to accept yourselves sometimes. This book will make you do that in a very good way, because you are basically going to get free therapy. I really love reading about people who are relatable, and I really loved how the author did not sugarcoat her emotions in this book. I also really loved how the author was expressing herself and her issues to the therapist. It is not easy to accept what you are and share it with someone else. By the end of the story, I have realized that the things that you feel insecure about, or the characteristic traits that you feel like are very problematic in you, are the same characteristic traits that are present in other people as well, and they also might be thinking the same thing. At the end of the day, nobody cares. If you want to improve yourself, definitely do it, but do not sit with the fact that these are the traits that I have which are problematic, and you just grieve about that thing. If you want to improve, stand up, you go and improve yourself, because everyone is dealing with something, and nobody is going to care about some small characteristic trait of yours which you think is problematic. Nobody has the time to give you that much of an attention apart from your family or partners. And this book is super bingeable. You can finish this book in one sitting, and I definitely recommend this book to you. Coming up next, we have a book that I did not expect to like at all. I did not have any expectations from this book, because I went to Lock the Box sale that is conducted by Bookchore, and I grabbed this book just because the cover was pretty. But then when I was doing a challenge, I had to read this book, and it was a shocker in a good way. The book I'm talking about is Trouble Girls by Julia Lynn Rubin, and I have given this book 4 stars. This book talks about 2 young girls, Trixie and Lux. Both of them are problematic and come from problematic families. The things that happen to these girls in this book are so bad that I end up sympathizing with them, and the misogynistic representation of the society that has been shown in this book is so realistic that your anger will boil. You will just stop the book and say that, oh no, this is not happening. Okay, I need to stop reading this book for now. I need to absorb. In this book, Trixie and Lux Lux, after having a issue, I'm not going to talk about that issue because that is a spoiler, fall in a cat and mouse chase with the police, and that helps in the rise of a movement that is similar to the Me Too movement. And we see a divide in people where some people were favoring the girls and on the other hand some people were favoring the other party. And in the middle of it all, Trixie and Lux not only discovered that they are in love with each other, they also discovered several other aspects in their characters as well that they were not able to explore because of the lifestyle they were leading before. They had a lot of responsibilities. It was so good to read female characters that evoke emotions in you. If you want to read a queer romance that will evoke not only emotions in you but also will make you think about how the society works, then definitely go and read Trouble Girls. I highly recommend this book to you. Next up, we have another translated Asian fiction, and the book is More Days at Morisaki Bookshop. I have given this book 4 stars. I really loved reading Days at Morisaki Bookshop, and this is a continuation of that book. And Yakako returns to the bookshop after a few years. She is now settled in her job. She is in a stable relationship with a person, and that's how the story progresses. In this book, I only had one drawback that I'm not going to talk about because that is a spoiler. If I have to give you a little bit of a context about what I'm talking about, then there was a character, let's call that character X. That character X was important in this plot, but that character X's emotions or the past of that character X or how the character X was operating, how the feelings of the character X was operating was not explored that much in this book, and I was expecting that, and that is the reason why my rating has reduced a little bit. But I really loved reading this book. This book not only gives you cozy ambience of a second-hand bookstore, but this book also gives you some lessons in life that you are going to get after you finish reading this book. Definitely go and get this book and read it. You are going to love it. Pani piyenge. I am Bengali, hum pani khate hain. Just kidding. The next book that I'm going to talk about is by an author that I absolutely love, and she has become my auto-buy author. Anything published by her is going to be read by me, and the book I'm talking about is Funny Story by Emily Henry. The premise of this book was quite hilarious. The two main characters of this book are Daphne and Miles. Daphne's ex-partner is Peter and Miles's ex-partner is Petra. Peter and Petra are best friends, and guess what? They break up with their partners, that is Daphne and Miles, so that they can be together. And that leads to a situation where Daphne and Miles end up sharing an apartment. That's how the story starts. I really loved how comical yet complicated the plot of this book was. I also really loved reading how Daphne and Miles were vulnerable and how they were trying to confront their own emotions along with how they were trying to figure out what is going on in their lives, how they were trying to figure out what their feelings were for each other. Both of them were realizing that the partners they were with before were not the ones they were actually happy with. And I also really loved reading about the friendship that Daphne had with one of her co-workers. It was a delight to read a good female friendship in this book. But this book has 3 drawbacks which are not major, and that is the reason why I have reduced 1 star. I personally wanted to know more about Miles' side of the story, but it was lacking a little bit, and also I wanted to see Daphne's mother being more involved in her life. But the only thing I got from her mother were a few calls that she made throughout the whole book, keeping in mind that Daphne was saying that her mother is the most important person in her life. I expected more from her mother. And the third thing that kind of disappointed me was nothing bad happened to Petra and Peter. I wanted something bad to happen to those people. Those 2 people are so bad, and those 2 people feel so entitled that they feel that their presence only brings goodness in your life. Such entitlement and narcissistic behavior from characters and nothing bad happening to them is something that disappointed me in this book. But I really love how Emily Henry talks about not only grief but complicated emotions. She writes so beautifully. I was sucked into the story from the very beginning. It was such a nice experience. I have read 3 works by her: Happy Place, Book Lovers, and now Funny Story. And definitely I am excited for the 2025 release of Emily Henry. It is, I guess, releasing in February if I'm not wrong. I'm definitely gonna order it. I'm definitely gonna read it. If you are looking for a romance novel that has good plot, good characters, good revelation of feelings, and good and mature take on relationships, then definitely you can go and check this book out. You will really love this one. Now coming to my faves, my favorite books that I read in this month. Let's start with a series which is not complete yet, unfortunately. The series that I'm talking about is Powerless and Reckless. I have given Powerless 5 stars and I have given Reckless 4.5 stars. Look at how many annotations I have done. in both of these books, and that tells a lot about how good both of these books were. This is the very first time that I annotated a book, and it was a game changer for me. This whole series has everything: love, betrayal, revenge, action, ruthlessness, moments that you will cry your heart out. I was crying throughout this whole series. When I was reading Reckless, I cried 3 or 4 times. When I was reading Powerless, I cried 2 times. You can understand that this series is very emotional, and Reckless has ended in a way that I did not anticipate at all. And the only thing I can think about right now is reading Fearless, the final part of this trilogy that is going to come out in April 2025. My favorite character from this series is definitely Kai, but I really loved reading about Paden as well, how she was strong and independent, and how she had a strong mindset of herself as well, how she had the ability, or how she had the courage to stand alone and face the world, and she did not care about the consequences. She was gonna stand up for the right thing, and she was gonna do it even if her life was at stake, and I really loved that. And also on the other hand, I really loved reading about Kai, who is the future enforcer, and because of that role, he has to be ruthless, but somewhere inside him there is a heart of a very good person, and he considers himself a monster who was not born a monster, who was made a monster by the king of Elia. And we go on a journey of Paden, where she tries to stay away from any kind of problems, but she is dragged into a very big problem. And on the other hand, Kai, who wants to just follow the rules blindly, turns into a situation where he has to either follow his heart or he has to follow his role in the kingdom. And it was really nice to read about the world of Powerless and Reckless. I have given Reckless 4.5 stars is just because this book felt like a filler book. There were things happening in this book, but those things were kind of repetitive, and the plot was moving in Reckless, but it was not as fast as Powerless. So if you ask me, will I recommend this book? Absolutely yes, absolutely. Go for it. You will enjoy every single page, every single sentence of this book, and yes, you will have a beautiful and amazing experience. But definitely I'll suggest you to wait till Fearless comes out so that you can have a complete trilogy with you when you will be starting the series, because Reckless has ended in a way that has wrecked my heart, and I just cannot stop thinking about it. I'm still in a hangover. These 2 books hold a very special place in my heart because these are the first 2 deluxe editions that I have spent my money on. Every single penny spent on this series was really worth it. Look at how beautiful these deluxe editions are. Highly recommend. Please read these books. And the book that I'm gonna end my reading wrap up with is a book that was the first 5-star read after September. I did not get any 5-star read in the month of October, and the book that I'm talking about is The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. I really loved reading this dual timeline romance novel. One is in the past during the World War II, and one is in the present. 2 romance plots are developing, and you get to see 2 different romance stories. One in the past that has completely different circumstances, such high stakes where you don't know what's gonna happen to you in the next minute. And on the other hand, you see a modern day romance where the woman, the main female character, has gone through a very bad divorce, and after that she is afraid of falling in love, but she finally does fall in love with this guy because he is such a sweetheart. Oh my god. If I think about it now, the guy is actually a grumpy sunshine, He is a very famous author and he writes romance novels, but those books have very sad endings, and that is the reason why not many people love his books. But he always delivers, always writes a novel that is a bestseller, and that has made him, you can say, a little bit overconfident about his work. And that is the reason why when this girl said that, okay, I want this book to end in a particular way, this guy was like, oh, don't tell me, I already know what I'm talking about, I already know my job. But they keep on conversing, but they keep on talking about what the ending of this book will be, and I really loved that. I really loved the banter in this book. And also on the other hand, I really loved reading about her grandmother's love story, but nobody had prepared me for the ending. The ending had such a beautiful twist that swept the grounds of my feet. Get ready, grab some tissues, because this book is definitely gonna make you cry. Enjoy and savor the writing of Rebecca Yarros. I will definitely go and check other works by Rebecca Yarros as well in the future. With that being said, I am done with talking and ranting about all of the books that I have read in the month of November. And yeah, that's all guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you liked me ranting about books, please consider liking, and if you liked the recommendations, then please go and subscribe to my channel. It really motivates me a lot to make more bookish content like this. Also, let me me know in the comments down below what was your favorite read from the month of November. I will really love to add all of those books in my TBR. I'll see you guys in the next video with a new challenge, and till then, turn those pages and keep on reading. Bye!